Although there are tons of videos and articles on large-scale changes that we've seen happening around us, most Reddit threads and YouTube channels try to stay away from the changes that can't be backed by more than one person. This leaves out thousands of important experiences that more or less have been thrown to the wayside, and this makes a lot of sense. In a community focused on a phenomenon that just doesn't seem to make much sense because we all know deep down it obviously has to make sense, we just don't get it yet. We don't want to dirty the waters with fluff. And it is important. It helps us save face in front of a world that's already full of suspicion. But this leaves out a lot of amazing stories trustworthy people out there are experiencing, and these stories are just as important as those that have been approved for Mandela scrutinization. By ignoring the existence of these experiences, then we ignore possible evidence. It makes sense to look at these stories if any real sorts of conclusions are to ever be drawn. Of course, we have to take into consideration that a single person's story is just that. But maybe by looking at these personal shifts for people, we'll find commonalities in the effect that we're otherwise missing, which in my opinion, gets us one step closer to where we want to be. Awake. I have had changes happen personally. I want to open the door to folks out there that want to share their stories but have not found the correct forum to do that in. Come forward and be heard. So, I'll start. The following list contains 2 stories that are of my own account. I will then go on to share 2 stories by other Mandela effect sufferers who have been brave enough to submit their events. Number 1. 4 weeks ago, I stopped into Safeway with another mom to grab dinner after school. This friend was in no way aware of the effect. Upon going into the store, we walked directly to the freezer section. We discussed what the kids would like in detail, and I placed 1 Stouffer's lasagna and 1 Stouffer's mac and cheese in the empty hand basket that I was carrying. My friend observed this. I turned and walked about 3 to 4 feet to the self-checkout line. When I reached the scanner, I reached down to pull 2 items out of the basket, but one had literally disappeared into thin air. I was beyond startled. And I stood there. I had to leave the line to get another package, and I retraced my steps back and forth 3 times. No answer came to me. My friend was just as shocked. She just kept saying, "But I saw you put it in there." And suddenly she jumped, saying somebody had pushed her from behind. Number 2. Our area had been hit hard by snow and windstorms, which we were not used to where I live. The storms knocked out tons of trees, and our personal backyard was a landmine of debris. On Saturday, we had friends over, and I was doing hair color for one. We were standing in the window of the kitchen, and for 6 hours I stood staring at that debris and watching the light snow falling. We even discussed the yard with my guests. Sunday morning, I wake up and head to the kitchen. Looking out the back window, the yard is in perfect order. The wood had all been stacked neatly and the yard raked and the snow toys put away. I turned to my husband on the couch and started. "Whoa, thank you for getting up so early. I didn't even notice that you were outside." He looks at me oddly and he replies, "It's been that way since Thursday." Number 3. I'd like to share YouTuber Guy Fawkes' account of his own personal Mandela effect told by him.
I've got Joel with me, by the way. Say, Joel.
Hello, people.
So Joel was with me on this. And Joel came to me and said, we are missing a ton of these things that screw on the top of the lamps. I don't know, somebody stole them or something, right? People do that. So I said, I don't know what that's called, but we went into the boss's office and said, hey, we're looking for this thing that you screw on the top of the lamp to hold the shade tight. He said, a fennel. I said, a what? He said, a fennel. You never heard of a fennel? I said, I've never heard of a fennel. I don't know where to get it. He said, I'm sure you can get it from HD Supply. So we went into HD Supply Solutions, went into their website. I'm looking at his computer, looking over his shoulder. He's typing it in, fennel. Called it up there. Well, sure enough, I need those. So I'm like, okay, I've got to go back to my desk and order these. So let me make sure I see how that's spelled. It's a fennel. Well, I didn't order it that day, but we talked about it at least 20 times. Even at our end of the day meeting, we said, you learned something new today, didn't you? I said, sure did. What'd you learn? I learned about a fennel. So I come back from my weekend break. I go to the computer. I go to HD Supply. I type in FENNAL. Now I'm frustrated, right? I type into Google, what is that thing called that you screw in the top of your lampshade, and it tells me a finial. I was blown away. It's not even close to the spelling that I knew it was, because I was thinking fennel kennel. Finial, F-I-N-I-A-L is what it's called now. And that's literally 2 days ago. And I was so shocked, I called Joel. Am I saying it exactly the way it happened?
Exactly. I was right there. We typed in FENNAL, and come Sunday, It's spelled totally different.
That blew my mind. I said, here's another example. This is like the fifth one for me.
Number 4. The following story was submitted by one of our email support group members. The following is his unedited account. Hello there, my name is John, and I'm a 42-year-old, and I need to share my Mandela story. My story is one of pain and enlightenment. I want to share because there might be people going through the things that I went through, and if anything, this story can show them that they're not alone, and that there is help. So let me begin, and I'll try not to be that long. Where to begin? I was a deep family man. I'd lived with my mom and dad and brother. My brother was handicapped and had mental retardation, so I decided to put my life on hold so that he could have the best life possible with his family. Yes, I worked and I did things, but it was a nice family unit and it made him smile. My parents were in their 60s, but we all lived together in harmony. In 2006, my mom broke her leg, and I started taking care of her and my brother Matthew. Anyway, she couldn't walk, and so me and my friends would all watch movies together with my mom, and she started seeing things, and it made us all think. This is like 2007, and she would see things like the Scarecrow having a gun in Wizard of Oz, and she'd see logos that were changed. She would always say that the reason why we never went back to the moon is just because we had found something, and it told us not to come back there. She remembered people dying, and they were alive, including Mandela, who to this day I still can hear say, John, didn't we just see his funeral when he died in prison? There's so much I can list. The stars looked wrong to her, things didn't taste right, the sun looked wrong, and so on. We would agree with her, but we just put it in the back of our minds. And now that's the backstory. And so, here's mine. In 2012, my life was destroyed, and I think it had to do with the effect. In December of that year, 2 of my good friends died, and my girlfriend of 4 years just out of nowhere dumped me for no reason. I understand it happens to everybody, right? The year goes by, and on December 17th, 2013, my dad dies. I try to keep my family together. My mom tells me that she's there for me and Matthew, and then she got sick. Doctors didn't know the cause, and on December 31st, 2014, she died. I told my brother, who in his 39 years of being healthy, never going to the hospital or anything, ends up dying the next December 26, 2015. My brother was handicapped and loved life, and boom, he passes. Now I know they say that loved ones go 'cause their mates die, but this was not the case. My mom was a fighter, and Matthew's mind didn't understand death. I was destroyed, and I got to my knees and I asked God why. I asked him to show me truth, and the next day there was a message on my phone about Mandela effect, and I started researching. I think that when the anatomy changed, their bodies just couldn't handle it. I think it killed them. It's hard trying to find answers. I've been watching Mandela videos, and I remember, like my mom did, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Febreze, and so on. After all this 2 months ago, I became a reborn Christian. I seek answers now, and things are becoming weird for me. Everything seems wrong. This whole existence feels wrong. I have strange dreams, like mentioned in your videos, but mine don't seem like dreams. Every morning, I can remember it as vivid as it happened to the detail. I have the ear ringing, especially during the hour of 1 to 3 a.m. I also experience extreme deja vu. In my mind's eye, I see 2 different paths at times, and it's scary. I know this sounds crazy, but if by telling my story I can help more people out there, then I'm all for it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I am all alone now, but there's always hope for a brighter tomorrow. Yours, John Boy. There's strength in numbers. Do not be afraid to tell your own stories. They too are of the utmost importance. And remember, you're not alone.